And welcome to the Mint. I'm Andy Hodges. Now today, if you're parking in the central business district of Harare and you park in the parkade, you're in for a rude shock. City parking raises parking rates by 130%. All this and more coming on the Mint. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Now then, we start, of course, as usual, in the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Have a look how it traded yesterday. Visitors to Cresta Mall in Randburg are getting a taste of the ocean with a large aquarium which was recently opened at the mall. Located in the food and entertainment court, the aquarium boasts a total of 30 species of fish. The aquarium, which took almost 2 years to construct, combines fish that can be found in both the Indian and Pacific Ocean. We use 75,000 liters of salt water and 25,000 kgs of salt to mix into the water to get the correct salinity in order to get a habitable home for the fish, says a spokesperson for the mall. According to the spokesperson, the aquarium wasn't only designed to entertain shoppers, but was created for educational reasons as well. Now, U.S. markets, of course, today is D-Day. As you know, the Federal Reserve Bank started this meeting yesterday going into today. We're going to be following that with keen anticipation because traders are focused on the upcoming Fed meeting, which, as I said, started on Tuesday. Market expectations point to a quarter-point rate cut on Wednesday, today, which will be the first rate cut in a decade. On the data front, there will be personal and consumer spending figures out, as well as pending home sales and consumer confidence numbers. In corporate news, big boys are coming out today. MasterCard and Under Armour reporting before the bell. Apple and Mondelez will be updating investors after the bell. Wall Street ended on a mixed note as investors monitored a new round of trade talks between the US and China and weighed the upcoming Federal Reserve Bank decision. European markets, the pan-European stock 600 slipped around 0.9% by mid-morning. Autos and banks leading the losses with 1.6% falls as all sectors except food and beverages traded firmly in the red. The UK-based BP company posted second quarter underlying replacement cost profit. That's used as a proxy for net profit. They posted of $2.8 billion, beating the $2.5 billion expected by analysts polled by Reuters, and sending the energy company's stock 2.7% higher. Bayer confirmed its outlook for 2019, but struck a slightly less optimistic tone. The German pharmaceutical giant reported earnings before tax, depreciation and amortization before special items advancing by 25% to 2.9 billion euros. But listen to this, though. The company, Bayer, now faces 18,400 lawsuits. Yes, you heard correct. 18,400 lawsuits in connection with its weed killer Roundup. Bayer stock fell 4.1% yesterday. Lufthansa, that's the German airline, of course, posted a drop in second quarter earnings on rising fuel costs and price wars, with adjusted earnings before interest and tax, EBIT, falling to 754 million euros from 1 billion euros a year earlier. The airline's share price slipped 5.3%. BBA Aviation shares jumped 5.3% to one-year highs after the sale of its aircraft parts unit Ontic, while Grenke stock tumbled 14.6% to the bottom of the European blue chip index after it reported a 7% increase in first-half net profit and adjusted its full-year forecast. Sales of British energy company Centrica plunged 13% after reported a net loss of £550 million for the first half of the year, along with a 49% decline in adjusted operating profit, and announced that CEO Ian Khan will step down. Stocks in Asia, of course, everything is around the US-China trade talk. Stocks in Asia Pacific edged up on as investors awaited developments from the US-China trade talks this week in Shanghai. The Bank of Japan also opted to keep monetary policy steady. The Nikkei 225 in Japan rose 0.43% to close at 21,709, with shares of index heavyweight FANUC jumping 3.14%. The Topix index added 0.45% to finish its trading day at 1575.58. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index pared losses from Monday to bounce back in early trade following yesterday's press conference, when Beijing reiterated their firm support for the city's embattled leader Carrie Lam amid protests over an extradition bill. It also suggested there will not be a change in its management of Hong Kong in the near future. The index was up 0.24% as of its final hour of trading yesterday. Chinese tech giant Tencent shares rose 0.75%, with the company announcing Monday that it would cooperate with Qualcomm on gaming devices and 5G. Remember, Tencent is also partly owned by Naspers, and its value of Naspers' holding in that is over just under $2 billion. US-China trade negotiations are set to happen in Shanghai this week as the two economic powerhouses seek to reach a deal to end a protracted trade dispute. The Bank of Japan kept monetary policy steady on Tuesday, but said that they will not hesitate to take additional easing measures if the economy loses momentum towards achieving the target inflation rate of 2%. The Japanese central bank also said it intends to maintain the current extremely low levels of short and long-term interest rates for an extended period of time, at least through around spring 2020. The Japanese yen last traded at 108.64 against the dollar after seeing an earlier low of 108.94. Government data released earlier on Tuesday showed Japan's factory output falling more than expected in June. Now then, currencies, particularly African currencies. Let's have a look at what's happening with African currencies. Now, continuing to look at currency markets, of course, today I want to have a look at sterling. Now, sterling, of course, is the pound. Sterling fell to a new two-year low versus the dollar on Tuesday, amid growing speculation that Britain is headed for a messy no-deal Brexit from the European Union. Sterling has fallen against the dollar for the past 4 trading days on worries that Britain will exit the EU without agreements on trade and other key issues. There is also a chance that new Prime Minister Johnson will call an early election. Against a basket of 6 major currencies, the dollar traded near 2-month highs yesterday. Now, the Fed is expected to cut rates by 25 basis points on Wednesday. I'm going to keep harping about this, and in fact, this is critical to the direction of the markets, not just stock markets, but also currency markets. And investors are watching for clues on whether the Fed move may be a one-off or the first in a series of several cuts, as many traders are anticipating. Uncertainty about how Britain will divorce itself from the EU and the resulting economic impact could keep the pound on the back foot for weeks to come. Now, monetary policy is another important factor for currency markets, as central banks from Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and possibly Britain are expected to cut rates due to low inflation and risks to global economic growth. The pound took a turn for the worse after Johnson said the Brexit divorce was dead, and warned that unless the European Union renegotiated, Britain would leave on October the 31st without a deal. Harsh words coming from the new British Prime Minister. Now, the commodity markets around the world. Look at the prices yesterday. Now, unfortunately, as predicted by us here on The Mint last week, the Zimbabwe Energy Regulatory Authority, ZERA, has announced an increase to the prices of diesel and petrol with effect from yesterday. The last increase was on Monday last week. This is twice almost in 1 week. The silver lining, if you can call it that, is that the increase is only slight, with petrol going up 8 cents and diesel going up 3 cents. Diesel now costs $7.22 and petrol $7.55 per litre. With the interbank rate in Zimbabwe at around 9-1, however, there is scope in the very near term for a continued increase in fuel prices to that level. The plain truth is, and let's be clear, even with the new increase in fuel prices, Zimbabwe's petrol still remains one of the cheapest in the region in US dollar terms. Now, just a quick explanation. As you know, fuel dealers were told that they had to buy their currency to import fuel from the interbank market at interbank prices. They may still have to approach the central bank to get currency. However, they now have to pay at the interbank market rate. So let's put it into economics for you. If you're buying something at 9 and selling it at 7.5, well, obviously someone is subsidizing that gap, and therein lies the issue. So until the prices stabilize and come up together with where the interbank market rate is at 9-1, then we can't really say that $1 is $1 a litre. And so you can expect at least some pressure on price rises to go up unless, and it's a big unless, of course, the interbank market rate comes down. Now, precious metals, gold prices edged down on Tuesday as the dollar held firm near 2-month highs, while investors awaited the outcome of a 2-day U.S. Federal Reserve policy meeting expected to result in a cut in interest rates. Holdings of SPDR Gold Trust, the world's largest gold-backed exchange-traded fund, rose 0.83% to 824.89 tons on from Friday. Among other precious metals, silver was down 0.1% at 16.44 per ounce, and platinum fell 0.2% to 877.12. Palladium slipped to 0.5% to 1546.25 per ounce after touching a near 2-week high in the previous session. It's really good to see that the underlying metals like palladium, platinum, silver, and even chrome and iron ore are still maintaining a firm base. That is great for our mining sector because, of course, as I said yesterday, those world prices do affect our export receipts and our export earnings. So we want to keep those prices as firm as possible, at least the world prices are, and that's good news for our mining sector. Of course, on the other side, of course, we have another problem in that prices such as wheat and soya bean and so forth, you saw from our graphic, are actually on the way up. They've actually been continuously going up in little incremental bits. So that's going to obviously cost us a lot because, as you know, we have to import upwards of 200,000 tons of wheat. And also reports are coming in that we may have to import maize because of necessary problems at the silos where the silos aren't actually contained. And some of the maize in the silos, funnily enough, is actually not fit for human consumption. We're going to keep an eye on that for you, of course, because food security is critical to our nation. Now, oil prices rose for a 4th day on Tuesday on optimism the U.S. Federal Reserve will this week cut interest rates for the first time in more than 10 years, which should support economic and fuel demand growth in the world's biggest oil user. Economic growth in the United States slowed less than expected in the second quarter, strengthening the outlook for oil consumption. But elsewhere, disappointing economic data has increased concerns about slower growth. Supply risks are still a concern as tensions remained high around the Strait of Hormuz, through which about a fifth of the world's oil passes. Tensions spiked between Iran and the West after Iranian commandos seized a British-flagged oil tanker in the Gulf this month in apparent retaliation for the capture of an Iranian tanker by British forces near Gibraltar. Well, that's it for In the Market, of course. Please give us your comments on our Facebook page, Zim Papers TV Network, and of course our website, ztn.co.zw. Now, today I just want to highlight 2 specific programs that we have on today. 2 o'clock, The Couch, the only sports show you need to watch, hosted by Howard Musonza. You want to learn everything about football and what's happening in the world of sport, you better watch that live on ztn.co.zw and of course our Facebook page, Zim Papers TV Network. That's The Couch. And tonight, 6:30, coming out live from the venue, it's The Chase, Zimbabwe's political dialogue, The Final Solution. You cannot miss that. 6:30 p.m. tonight, live on Zim Papers TV Network and ztn.co.zw. Anyway, coming up after the breather, parking rates go up in the parkades. It's going to be more expensive for you to park. The number? 130% more expensive. Coming back right after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Mint, and now we're in the economy. Of course, as I said today, 2 o'clock, The Couch with Howard and Charmaine hosting the show you cannot miss if you like sport. And of course, 6:30 tonight, The Chase, live from the venue in Avondale. That is Zimbabwe's political dialogue, the final solution. You can't miss that. We've got a great panel for you, Eddie Cross and also ZANU and MDC representatives. Now, they're in the economy. Last year, the world's first hydrogen-powered trains began operating on a stretch of line between Cruisehaven and Buxtehude in Lower Saxony. Now plans to roll out the project across the whole state and even further afield are progressing full steam ahead, no pun intended, because the world's first hydrogen-powered trains operating in Germany. And in fact, back in 2018, the French train manufacturer Alstom delivered its first 2 hydrogen-powered trains, known as the Coradia E-Lint, to Lower Saxony. The bright blue locomotives have since been serving commuter traffic on a 100-kilometer route between Cuxhaven, Bremerhaven, Bremervoort and Buxtehude, approximately 20 kilometers from Hamburg. The hydrogen trains are a unique design equipped with fuel cells that convert hydrogen and oxygen into electricity to propel the train forward. They are capable of reaching speeds of up to 140 kilometers per hour. Comparable to the diesel trains that normally serve this route. But rather than producing toxic fumes, the hydrogen train's only waste product is, wait for it, I told you, no pun intended, it's steam. And of course the quote is, diesel has its future behind it, and hydrogen has its future ahead of it, says Rainer Peters, spokesman for LNVG. Now, parking is just going to get more expensive, particularly on parkades. It seems city parking is not done hiking parking fees yet. Harare City Council parking subsidiary City Parking yesterday told Mint reporter Ndaka Majaka that parkade fees were going to go up by at least 130%. The firm joins other local companies adjusting their cost structures to match expanding costs. Presently, the firm charges $65 per month for its inner city parkades. However, Francis Mandaza, City Parking spokesperson, said starting September the 1st, 2019, the company was going to start charging $150 for undesignated parking in the parkades and $200 per month for designated parking. The City Parking spokesman also said the company wanted to keep up with rising operational costs as a result of inflationary pressures. The company had been struggling to keep up with overheads. Here is what Mr. Mandaza had to say.
The adjustments are coming against a background of rising operational costs. As you know, we are a business and we cannot afford to run at a loss. For on-street parking, the adjustments are with effect from 1 August. But for parkades and parking lots, it's going to be effective on the 1st of September 2019. And I am sure the fees are going to be $150 for unreserved parking and $200 RTGS for reserved pay parking.
Now, don't think that you're spared if you park in the streets and designated parking zones, because on Tuesday as well, City Parking hiked on-street parking fees in the central business district in Harare and peripheral areas by more than 100%, just 5 months after the last increase. Parking in the inner CBD now costs $5 per hour, up from $2 per hour, and parking for 30 minutes, which used to cost $1, has gone up twofold to $3. Motorists with offices in the inner CBD will have to fork out $40 a day and at least $200 per week, which, as you all know, is way beyond the reach of many of us. In February, City Parking increased parking fees by 100%, from $1 to $2 for the inner central business district and from 50 cents to $1 per hour in the peripheral CBD. Now then, most Zimbabweans, of course, are challenged by the economic situation. But organizations such as the Small and Medium Enterprises of Zimbabwe work together with mainly youthful entrepreneurs, and this is what they had to say. We are focusing on entrepreneurship, and it's important because one of the major issues that we have, of course, is how do we get our youth or even our entrepreneurs in Zimbabwe coming up with good ideas. Now, we always like to talk about entrepreneurs here on the Mint because it's critical, because these are the people, you are the people, in fact, that will drive Zimbabwe's economy forward with your ideas, particularly the youth. Now, you need to find out, what are you doing? For example, how is the environment affecting you? Have you got a right business plan? Do you know your competitors? Do you have the right business model to succeed? And so you can appreciate that there are all of these questions, and you either need to get training or possibly mentoring. And being a young person, of course, one thing that you also need is financial management. You need to be able to understand how to manage money. It's critical. And please, one other thing, another factor that affects as well in terms of entrepreneurs, be prepared to fail. The thing about an entrepreneur is that they fail, but one of the major things that they do is they get back up again and keep trying. You know, on the Mint here, we try and give you some stories about billionaires now, or at least millionaires, and what's happened in their lives. And yesterday we had a story about a gentleman who is now a billionaire, and he was homeless twice. And the first time he was homeless with his young 3-year-old child. So as a result, he still got up, he carried on going. And that is the spirit we would like to inculcate in entrepreneurs here from the Mint. Get up, get on with it. If you fail, get up again and keep fighting on. If your idea is good, you will succeed. Now, if you look, for example, in neighboring Zambia has an example of a youthful entrepreneur making it. Maria Selena Zulomis is a 34-year-old ex-cardiology nurse who went into agribusiness with an initial capital of just $30,000, who is believed to be one of the youngest commercial tomato farmers in Zambia. She is now worth $2 million from agribusiness. So you understand that it's important. If you have an idea and you have the passion, you can make it. That's our message today from the Mint to all of you entrepreneurs. Now, Zambia and Botswana have signed a $259 million agreement to construct a 430-kilometer long railway to link the two countries across the Kazungula Bridge to bolster bilateral trade. Faced with trade imbalances, the two southern African countries have agreed in principle to construct the railway line and have it completed soon after the Euro Bridge is completed and commissioned. The project, it is envisioned, will reduce transit time and transportation costs for both the people and goods traded. It will further boost trade amongst other member states in the region. The railway project, dubbed Mosetse Kazungula Livingstone, will, once the bridge is completed, it will be commissioned in June next year. Now, according to Zambia Railways Board Chairperson Lubinda Linyama, the project was proven feasible and as a quicker means of transporting goods and passengers, in addition to roads, to ease transportation problems, and once completed will benefit all other countries in the 16-country member region and bolster trade in real time. Now, the elite club that rules the world's diamonds, one of the most exclusive clubs known over the years as the Syndicate, the central selling organization and the diamond trading company. For more than a century, De Beers has sold most of its rough diamonds to a select number of customers. A list that reads like a who's who of the opaque gem trading world. Names like Tiffany & Company, Graf Diamonds and Signet Jewelers Limited all own subsidiaries in this exclusive group, guaranteeing a steady supply of gems with the pedigree of being vetted by De Beers. In the diamond trading world, becoming one of De Beers' elite buyers is viewed as essential to achieving success and making money. However, now it's no longer so easy. De Beers sells its gems to 10 sales each year in Botswana's capital of Gaborone, and the buyers, known as site holders, have to accept the price and the quantities they are offered. But in some cases, the prices have been higher than the going trading rate, forcing customers to sell at a loss. According to people familiar with the matter, some site holders now struggle to make money from a business that was once highly lucrative. It's a change for an industry where being one of the chosen buyers was long considered to be the highest achievement. As its customers struggle, De Beers is also suffering financially. The company's parent, Anglo-American plc, saw first-half profit drop almost 30% from the diamond business. Sales in the first 6 months of the year were at least $500 million less than the same period of the previous 3 years. Great story. It implies that the diamond cartel is starting to fray and money is being lost. However, it is not good for us, of course, because we are one of the world's, or will become one of the world's greatest diamond exporters. And obviously, what happens with the prices of diamonds affects, again, our exports of diamonds and the prices that we can get for our own raw diamond materials. Now then, Botswana, I love this story. Botswana, a massive 20-carat blue diamond was discovered in Botswana. Say hello to Big Blue. Botswana revealed an extremely rare, fancy deep blue diamond weighing more than 20 carats on Wednesday. The Okavango Blue is the largest blue diamond discovery ever made in the country and exceeds the clarity and purity of its world-famous predecessor, the Hope Diamond. According to a press release from the Okavango Diamond Company, the diamond's unique and vibrant blue color is created by the molecular inclusion of the rare mineral boron, which between 1 to 3 billion years ago was present in the rocks of ancient oceans during violent diamond-forming volcanic activity. The oval-shaped diamond was discovered as a 41-carat rough stone. It was then cut and polished, retaining 20.46 carats. Now, blue diamonds are incredibly rare, comprising a minute 2/100ths of 1% of all diamonds mined. As the Okavango Diamond Company undertakes a global marketing campaign for its gem of a find amongst high-net-worth buyers and collectors, the diamond could likely go for millions. In 2016, a massive blue diamond, dubbed the Cullinan Dream, sold for a whopping $25.3 million at auction, breaking the record for the most expensive gem of its kind ever sold. That's according to the New York Daily News. Well, that's it. Unfortunately, we come to the end of our show for today of the Mint. Of course, we're going to be with you every morning, 10 a.m. here on ZTN. And of course, please look at our Facebook page because we want to hear from you. Please keep your comments coming in. We have our Facebook page, Zim Papers TV Network. And of course, we have our website, ztn.co.zw. Now let's look at some of our programming. Today at 2 o'clock, we've got The Couch, the country's top sports show. You got to watch that if you want to know about football in particular, but also about any types of sports. And of course, tonight, 6:30 p.m. live on Zim Papers TV Network's Facebook page and on ztn.co.zw, we have The Chase, Zimbabwe's Political Dialogue, The Final Solution, and of course our other programming, Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays, Extra, ZTN's top entertainment show that you can't miss either. That's with Candice and Charlene. And of course all the other programming that's coming out of ZTN Newsroom on an hourly, if not minutely basis. So you better watch ztn.co.zw to see the content that we have. Well, that's it from me today. I'm Andy Hodges. I, of course, will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. All that's left for me to say is, you have a fantastic day. You all be safe. Goodbye.